red and blue by picking up a win here in game 1. Definitely impressive stuff there. Is the Victor going to be taken away? There goes the Vi as well, as it was full topside bans to come through from B&K last time. This time they are foregoing at least one of them, as the Rumble still banned Sion and Gwen, the last.
Yeah. If you want to play Jace into Gwen, and Clear feels confident after how the last matchup went into Doran's Gragas on the Jax, maybe they do end up leaving both of the Gwen and the Jace up here and ban the Sion again, which they will do. And now T1 have to make a choice. You know, the Vi and the Kalista are somewhat non-negotiable. You could ban Sejuani here, you could ban Skarner here, or you could just be safe and ban Jace, but then they get the Gwen. So, you know,
unanswered Gwen, not going to be a thing you want to deal with.
I think that you have to be willing to play Gwen into Jace, and I think that's up to Doran. If he's going to be the one to be willing to do that, they will leave both open. The Yone is banned, so Jace. And we've seen this matchup go both ways, but I think in theory, if you look at the history of the matchup on Gwen's release, this was the counter pick to it. It can be quite tricky to play out the first few levels.
Yeah, the thing that's really tough now is that T1 have to pick Gwen, because otherwise Jace gets flexed to mid and you still play Gwen on the top side of the map, Raptor picks a tank, and it's game over.
Gwen Sejuani feels pretty strong here.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic... I think that's the only line.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do, and it's a strong duo, it has a lot of power, so it just makes a ton of sense. Maokai stock's kind of high right now for the side of B&K. It's still a flex pick as well, so that's something that I think they'll be looking to potentially flex if that does come to pass, the Gwen. I think it's very obvious that no one is comfortable with Doran laning into the Jace on this Gwen in the early levels, even though Gwen's been buffed there. As Skarner, because it was unbanned, I think it might have been a smarter ban actually to ban instead of the Yone, is going to be left up here.
Yeah, so Skarner versus Sejuani, just a pretty stock standard tank matchup there, but we know that the Skarner has found a lot of value. Raptor has been pretty good at the tanks so far, although is Sejuani definitely the better of his picks.
I don't think you should lock 80 carry here necessarily, because it's just, you're leaving so much in T1's control if you do, in terms of how the counter picks can go and how they can ban your, best partners and stuff like that. So they'll ultimately go for mid over support, which I think is the right choice, and go for Ryze, which is very safe.
Yeah. Strong
side laning, strong rotational power, and it's a pick I think Faker would love to play in the draft that they already have, as Draven would be a risky choice in this draft.
That was unprovoked. The unprovoked Draven.
Yeah, usually we kind of know when it's coming. Like yesterday we were like, oh, it's coming,
Oh, yeah.
But this was not one of the times I would have predicted it. The Corki makes a lot more sense to me. Does come online a little bit later, but is very safe and is a flex pick in this draft as well.
Yeah, you could still play that in the mid lane if you would like to at it. It's not necessarily my favorite. I do like melee champions into when you do have a Sejuani, but you don't necessarily need it.
It's hard to now ban champions in terms of what you expect to pair with the Corki in the bottom lane when it could just be mid. I think banning Alistar just like they did in game 1 is extremely safe. Always going to be a strong ban, so that part is the easy one. We'll see what they do for their final ban though, because that gets a little bit more murky here for B&K. For T1, you could just ban any scaling 80 carry makes sense. I don't think MF is really the route that B&K are looking for in this one. They could go for Misfortune Rel in this draft, but feels like you're playing into the hands of T1 because the Sejuani can shut down the MF so easily. The Gwen can obviously just kind of run through it and not care. So I don't think that's necessarily what B&K want. This final ban, though, this is a tough one.
Yeah, I'm interested in what it's going to be. I think Nautilus and Rel stock are kind of through the roof right now, and the Nautilus is going to be the chosen ban. But with the fact that the Alistar's already taken away, you could just take the Rel if you'd like to.
Ooh, Ashe
maybe Ashe instead.
Would have been so good for both teams. Actually, that one kind of slipped under my radar here a little bit. That's so incredibly strong with the Sejuani, a lot of laning power. Misfortune Rel could be what they lock in. The Alistar is banned, but I'm not super sold on what it means, especially because I think Diablo, as a mechanical player, deserves so much more than to just be an R button and a Q button bot in lane. And I do think T1's draft works really well into the Misfortune, especially now that they have the Ashe as well. So I think this is... I was sold on the first parts of this, so I'm a little bit less sold on the latter parts. It's got good tools, good setup, but...
Yeah, look at this. Like, it's Keria just cycling through the really great options he has into this bottom lane.
I mean, he could play Bard here, and I'd still like their draft more.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I think he's going to play something that's stronger, and will probably opt into the Renata.
Or the Thresh, just because you can. He's just having a giggle. It should just be Renata. There it is.
Because Renata is so incredibly strong into... Like, you could basically guarantee that her ult is going to stop the advance of BNK in any scenario. It's not a traditional dive.
Yeah, it's an awkward situation, but it's also a dangerous one, right? Because if a Gwen gets out of hand, she really gets out of hand. As T1, I think this time around, you're feeling a lot better about where their draft is sitting, and they only need to win this game, and they've taken another series this week. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and we are onto the Rift without there being a pause. Look at that.
Solid.
Not too bad. Better start than last time. As Diablo's skipping around here. As T1 already moving aggressively into the enemy jungle. You can see Faker going to meet up with his bottom lane here. And they haven't put the ward down just yet, maximizing the amount of value that they can get out of that one.
I think Misfortune is incredibly strong. I think she's very oppressive in lane, and in most matchups, she does a ton of damage and can get you mid-prio almost instantly in every scenario, can delete waves at any point in time with her ultimate. But what she does not do, or what her kit is not, is a outplay insane mechanical skill type of kit. And with what I just watched Diablo do, and some of the plays, the best plays we've seen from Diablo across his career, is to be the hyper outplay guy as much as he can. And so that's why I'm a little sad about this draft.
Oh,
Raptor does not know. He's not a knower.
He is not a knower indeed. He immediately flashes, but I don't think it's going to be enough to be able to get him to safety as he really wants to get on that blast cone, but it's not going to be him. It's going to be the flash from Oner that locks that one down, and they'll start off with a red buff. T1 playing dirty at the start of game 2.
Yeah, they just didn't give any support to him whatsoever in terms of defensive vision there, and that's that. So now, Smash has a kill on this Ashe. Level 1 for Ashe is incredibly strong, especially if you just leave a Scorpion out there to dry.
Yeah,
and die. And now his jungle is ruined.
It is. Oner's going to just completely clear out the bottom side. The one good news thing here for BNK is the fact that Smash hasn't fought yet. As Gallen's going to dive in on top of him, will take a lot of damage in response, as they do hit level 2 first, so that will give them that slight advantage. As Oner now, moving over just as the ward dies. That feels terrible.
Well, that's a 3 buff.
Yeah,
and
could be.
Unfortunately for Raptor, there's just simply nothing he can do about it. Corki having Cryo in mid. Doran playing this matchup so far pretty well, looks like. We didn't watch how all the intricacies did happen, but maybe
level 3, and Doran is just going to get flashed on and murdered.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry, Chronicler. Master Curse are real.
No, don't say sorry to Chronicler, because he doesn't even believe in caster curses. Say sorry to everyone.
No, I'm just saying sorry, like, because it's very clear that they're real.
Yeah. Oh god.
There's proof on our screens. I wasn't really looking at the XP bar of clear when we came in, so that one's.
Neither was Doran, as it turns out.
Yeah, I guess Raptor now has an opportunity to come over here and try to get something back.
Yeah. Let's see whether he can nail the smite, and there it is. So, gets a red buff. Yep, no more. Is he gonna get 3 buffed?
Looks like you were missing a ward outside your red buff too. I didn't even need my friends to get that one.
Sounds like a bad action movie line that a bad guy would say.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic movie. A friend of mine from high school used to absolutely love it. It had a bad guy called Stingray. And anyway, I don't need to talk about it. Let's have a look at this one from Clear's perspective, as it was, like you say, looking dicey at this point in time.
And look at the XP bar. He's just 1 minute away from 3. That's the extra button he needs.
Oh,
boom.
Man, doesn't say a word. Ice cold. All right. In the break, by the way, I will let you know the super dope line.
Yeah.
It's a bit cheesy.
You said the guy's name was Stingray?
Stingray. Yeah.
That's a cool name for a bad guy to have.
He gets his eye poked out or something like that, and he's like, item. Anyway, it's funny, and I'll explain it when I can actually
You ever play
know what it is.
F-Zero GX?
Yes, love that game. Looking forward to it on Switch 2.
Yeah. Okay, hold up.
We're looking forward to seeing how Faker manages to escape this one, and Valkyrie is going to be the elected button.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong mobility tool that Faker can use to escape from a gank.
Yeah.
As it's just going to be a stealth ticket. But anyway, Samurai Go Roll is a fire stick. Aw. All you do is talk about F-Zero and it makes it go away.
It does.
It makes F-Zero go away, just like Nintendo won't make a new F-Zero game.
Keria is going to get shatteringly struck. And then he's going to walk away. That is the action. That is what's happening here. Some flux being worn by Faker right now. As you can see, everything just kind of okay right now. BNK with a slight gold advantage, though, based on the fact that they were able to get clear into a great position on the top side, almost 600 gold. And this is the problem.
Yeah.
When the champion that was already likely to dictate the pace in lane gets ahead, you're the one that then has to start moving around and trying to avoid it. Tempo naturally going over to BNK in this situation.
As a discussion point, because we've talked about this a little bit, we've kind of skirted around it as Faker is pushed away here, only level 5. I think you could have just dropped the Callista ban in this situation as Faker is in trouble.
Oh, if that Q had landed there by Vikla, then Faker could just be dead right now.
Yeah, had to flash anyways, so down a flash, but definitely going way better for Faker, I think, than at least Vikla hoped. But if that lands like you say, he is definitely, I think, dead. No two ways about it. Still, maybe a small little edge that Vikla picks up as Faker does not have TP.
Kellen discovered as the rest of his team around. Nice little sidestep on the Winter's Wrath as Raptor grabs 2 of the grubs pretty quickly. And with that smite now on cooldown, is just going to back away and let Oner have 1 of them.
Yep. So better than they were doing in terms of grubs last game.
Yep.
Infinitely better.
Diablo here towards the bottom side, just looking to clear things out. I like that infinitely better because they got 0.
Yeah.
Is it technically infinitely better because they did get nothing? So infinite nothing is still nothing.
Yeah, so like, okay, it's more than infinitely better, I guess. Right?
Well, it's also, it's impossible for like anything to be times it.
Yeah.
Wow, mathematically confusing. It's okay. We've got another trade of stuns here between the supports.
You know, when they say don't do math on stream, they really don't mean do theoretical math on stream.
Yeah, let's have a discussion about 0 on stream. Do you remember when that weird thing with the guy that thought that like the 1+1 is like 5 or something like that?
Oh god, man! Or
that was so funny.
Or every time Facebook the algorithm thinks, like when I'm just trying to check up on my friends, they think I want to do some stupid math puzzle.
Yes.
Like
this is gonna get you into Harvard.
You know what I also don't want to do is to try to figure out how to draw a line between all those dots with just one line.
Oh god! And the thing saying this game is actually real, and then they've got like some guy pretending to stream it. It's like, no, man.
Don't want to spot the difference between those 2 Simpsons pictures. I really don't, Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, please. I just want to see how my friends are doing.
That's why I removed that app. Oh, God.
Looks like T1 are going to get this dragon. Oh man, it's worse than the Italian memes.
Oh,
that chronicler keeps showing us for some reason.
Yeah, it does feel better to talk about it, you know. Now, I know that it's not just me. Is Faker going in? Vikla in a little bit of trouble, perhaps. Has already traded quite nicely, but he keeps missing these Qs. And that isn't necessarily the best. There's another one going wide. Maybe they're not supposed to hit. Maybe that's part of the plan. As Oner will be able to secure his own Raptors. As Raptor is unable to get the Rash. Nash is in trouble. Some more autos coming through here from Diablo. He's going to need another one, but the bailout comes in. The handshake's down, but Diablo doesn't die. The flashing it out of the crash down here is Diablo makes the rain, and Keria needs to try and find him in the fog of war. Diablo, can you get out of here? Because there's another crash down, and the bullet time comes in. The stun comes through as well, and Keria will be able to get out. That's a beautiful U-turn done here as To the Skies goes clear, and Oner has to avoid the impale. BNK outplaying T1 all over the map.
Everywhere. Look at the gold lead.
Except for Vikla, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's still got a gold lead because he's got kill pressure even if he didn't kill him. It's a small gold lead, but and it isn't an outplay. But anyways, yeah, it's looking very good for BNK. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened in this exchange. Okay, I was gonna say I need a little bit more information because
yeah,
okay, Kellen was on top of him. So it's okay because you have bailout, right? Except not quite enough damage here.
Oh no, did he flash over the top of Diablo after the handshake and then not hit him with the volley? Is that what happened?
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened.
Oh,
everything was on top of, like, one hex there as he flashed on top of him, but...
That was half a Teemo. That was like a Teemo whisker away. That's very unfortunate.
A counter gank setup that goes wrong. You know, I think that there's not, like, that's not Doran's mistake there. I think they were planning on trying to surprise there, but really just good movement from Raptor. He is Skarner after all.
I didn't know that the lawnmower had such a good turning circle, though.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
I love those lawnmower, the riding motors where you can actually just fully 360.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a lawnmower should have caterpillar tracks, you know?
I had
like a tank.
I had such a huge yard growing up that I had to drive one of those to mow it. Oh.
That'd be so cool. Arrow is going to split the heavens here. Good sidestep there from the B&K bottom lane. Opportunistic play from Smash, not quite going to work out as Raptor moving over, wanting to grab another 3 grubs. That will put them on 5. Moving into the next stage of the game. Also evening things out when it comes to the objectives as well, as Team able to take the first dragon of the game.
I just don't see any contest here. As Oner's going to the bottom side of the map, try to look for a punish here. This is risky.
Yeah, as there's a bullet time just to try and clear out the wave. That's a great ulti from Oner, though, as the handshake comes in. Kellen trying to keep them at bay as Smash is in trouble. And that last auto, not quite enough. Oh my god, how did that work? The immediate bailout is going to save him, but Diablo finding that double up angle was absurd.
That should not have happened, but Keria was on it, man. Keria saw it. You and I thought maybe it could happen. And Diablo was like, I'm going to look for it. Keria was like, I am ready to press the button. Yeah. He pressed it so fast.
Meanwhile, here on the top side of the map, I don't think Ascana really cares about whether Gwen is immune or not. Just going to poop her away from the turret. And Doran, no needlework's going to save you from that. So more plates going over to clear here towards the top side. And so T1 saving things on the bottom side, but like... It's a dying spree for Doran.
Yeah, I mean, over here, when you, like, the wave isn't fully cleared out, obviously, it's interrupted, Keria interrupts here, but then from here, Smash just back up and just back up, just back up and, okay.
That bailout must have been just barely.
Yeah, that was, it was an almost worse situation than it was. And this is a Gwen that is just... It's not a bouncy castle, it's just stasis, not moving, not interacting castle.
Yeah, you're a production line more than anything else. Sort of just picked up. Maybe it's like one of those like the gacha game things with the cranes. The crane game.
He did get crane gamed.
He did, and you know sometimes it actually works. Most of the time, those little cranes, like those claws, are just not really doing very much. This time though, Ascana certainly worked.
Every time I have to do in Yakuza the crane game mini game, you think you've mastered it, but then they make the dolls inside a little bit different, and you're like, this doesn't work anymore, my strategy.
Yeah.
But the capture the Gwen strategy seems like it's pretty good for the Skarner in these scenarios, working out for him 100% of the time. As Doran is 2 levels down, and I was afraid of this. You were afraid of this. We were afraid of playing Gwen into Jace, and they left the Jace up. And like they could have just dropped the Callista ban, I think.
Doran has been able to sort of weather the storm in these matchups in the past. This is not weathering the storm.
No.
This is the storm, like, destroying your house and you not being in there when it goes to the Wizard of Oz.
He's even denying more farm here. He will get the turret after this. T1 grab another objective as...
Whoa, that's a flash in. Kellen's going to come on over. He's not really helping out with damage, but there is Vikla in the area. That's a Glacial Prison, but the Magnet Storm comes through as well. Hostile Takeover doesn't connect onto the Rise, and so they just take out the Sejuani. And B&K just continuing to find value everywhere on the map. 3,000 gold is now their advantage.
Yeah, we did find out just how much CC it takes to kill a Sejuani. Doran is not in this game.
No, nor was he in the mist. Well, or at least able to use it to stay immune. So he is going to take a whole bunch of damage.
If they ban the Jace, then Clear plays Gwen. But I think I would prefer that scenario to what I'm witnessing here. And now they let the Skarner as well, so the Skarner is just allowing Clear to constantly I mean, just take him out. Now he's so big he doesn't need the Skarner's help anymore. And Doran is just... If you told me Gwen was buffed in the early game and showed me this game, I would find it hard to believe. But when you watch the gameplay, what Jace does in this matchup, it's a little bit more reasonable. T1, 4,000 gold behind in this game. 4,000 before 15 minutes.
Ooh, Diablo just walking out of the way, strutting his stuff quite nicely here, as we can see. Getting the love taps down.
Faker
smashes. Yeah, Faker could be in trouble here, as we've seen.
This
Skarner get some work done. It's going to slow him down first, but there's the Rune Prison, actually, as Raptor looking to try and drive this one through, and he just gets out. They'll grab themselves the arrow at the same time, as Doran was on a flank angle and had teleported in. That is a lot invested here by T1 just to keep Faker alive, but at least they keep Faker alive.
Yeah, I think that was probably Faker telling Doran your teleport is moot in the top lane. Please come down.
Oh, handshake nicely played there by Keria. Still takes a lot of damage as the bullet time comes through to clear out the wave, just to make sure that Diablo isn't murdered.
Faker did have TP, so, you know, after Doran comes down there, he could have TP'd top, but the wave is so pushed, he just rides his little rocket, little plane out there and says, Diablo looking to stop him back.
Yeah,
we'll
be able to do so.
Yeah.
Also, he can just stay here, right? He's got Bloodthirster now completed, so as you can see, health bar goes from pretty small to quite decently large.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
So maybe the Misfortune pick doesn't matter in the context of team fighting at all in this game. Atlas, maybe that's just where we're at. Maybe it's just, it could have been anything.
If you were gonna win the side lanes this hard, then absolutely. It's just kind of irrelevant. It's clear here towards the bottom side, kind of feeling like something is up. He's going to spot Doran for the moment as Oner looking to come in. They get into the mist alongside the Gwen, but Clear realizing he has to get out. That's a great hammer boot, but it's not quite going to be enough. Now committing to the fight as the ulti comes out from Keria, and that spells the end of Clear. Permafrost as well is going to mean that Kellen is in the wrong place as well. And Faker, he's also just going back. He knows that T1 have won this one.
This was
Vikla just split pushing.
Just a great call from T1, and a nice setup there from Oner, knowing that the target has been Doran, and that's the next turret they can take out there in the bottom lane if they get the pick onto him. Instead, it ends up being the gank to come through from Oner. It will be in exchange for a Herald and a little bit of damage there by Vikla onto the top inner turret, then just teleports down to the bottom lane, can continue to push and threaten the turret they wanted in the first place. But this should be mid going down unless...
Yep, that is a handshake being employed, but Raptor is just going to ride Shelly and shows her where to go, and she is going to be able to take down the turret as Raptor tries to do it again, and then Shelly is going to die.
So they should still be able to get this turret here in the bottom lane after all when the dust settles, but it took a little bit more than what they were looking for. T1 getting that kill onto Clear was pretty massive, and it kept their turret alive for a little bit, but it didn't come without cost, right? The Herald being taken in counter means that they lose the mid turret, top turret gets damaged, bottom turret goes down anyways. There's still a Gwen-shaped, maybe a scissor-shaped hole here on the map for T1.
Not to mention the fact that Smash is pretty far behind as well on that bottom side. 30 CS, approximately the lead here for Diablo. And that's sort of what has to give, right? If you really get crushed in one of the lanes, the others tend to suffer because Oner is pulled around the map. Things then, like, the power has to shift in order to try and make things work. And Faker has been doing a decent job. He was sort of the only T1 gold lead for a little while there.
I mean, okay, Faker here maybe caught.
Yeah, Oner going to come in. Just throws the ulti away, was expecting a Duke, and Clear just didn't do it. Still, he's going to die.
Okay, a second time. I actually thought that it was, in fact, Raptor was in the bush. As Kellen's here.
Is it over? As the teleport out from Faker is going to get him to safety, and Oner doesn't have teleport, and so he is instead just going to die. It's going to take a little while because he's pretty tanky, but it is a 1-for-1 trade in the end. What this does, though, is provide space for Doran to try and get back into this game.
Yeah, he is still significantly behind, but this will help a little bit. He doesn't have any grubs, really, besides the one they have to be a real threat in the side lane, but at least he's got that extra time, like you said. And it's these small victories that I think aren't going to be enough for T1 to get back in this game. It's going to take a big flub. It's going to take a big team fight win, but we're so far away from that being a reality. They have a 2-dragon lead, so there's going to be time. Faker will hit his 2-item spike here pretty soon, but I just look at what B&K have, and it's just such an impressive comp from ahead. You know, you just keep pushing the sides, you keep threatening with Skarner, who can engage from so far away when there's no vision on where that Scorpion is. He can come at you at any angle, and it's really easy to set up. So, you know, T1, again, they're a very resilient team. They have pulled bigger wins out of their hat than what it will take for this one in the past. It just feels like B&K is not the same team that threw that lead against Gen.G and LCK Cup. You know, this is a team that really has worked a lot on how to play from ahead.
Yeah, this team has really evolved, and it's really impressive to watch. They're going to be able to deny the soul point as well. That was something that they weren't able to do last time, and now looking to continue this as they move into the inner turret on the bottom side. Raptor playing defense. They'll let the outer turret on the top side fall down, but that is the second turret from T1 to be taken so far this game. That is still a definite trade up here by B&K.
And Vikla could just come and stop Faker from doing anything else, catch those minions. You know, ultimately this was the only call for T1 to make. It helps Faker get close to that 2-item spike. He finishes it as he backs. So again, a huge moment for him. Second item actually picked up here now at the same time for clear on this Jace. So Muramana's spikes have been hit, but it's going to take more than just Faker's 2-item spike to win this game. And it's going to take a team fight that you can take on your terms as T1, or some sort of side lane pressure to set that up, because in a straight-up 5v5 where B&K can just run at you as 4 people and say you can't be anywhere near this objective, anywhere near this turret, etc., you know, you're not going to win that as T1. If the Gwen was in an even game state, she'd be the best one for it, you know? Push people around side lanes, get some advantages. Keria is 2 levels up, but I don't know if that really matters at all.
Nope. Kellen is going to be able to clear out this ward and does manage to protect his own as well.
Doran has had this look on his face for this whole game of just, you know, this is my personal hell. You know, like I lost the lane. I was focused by Raptor, and now I just can't do anything. As now B&K with so much control of the bottom side, just going to start this Otacon up, and this is what I'm talking about. T1 can't take the fight on their terms. Vikla can ult in even though he doesn't have TP.
Oh man, there is no vision here. Hawkshot does give away that B&K are down here, but look at all of this vision. Look at all of this control that they have. And the immediate turn as Raptor is going to get his hand shaken. There's the Magnet Storm though, the bullet time to come in as well, as the 2-man Impale delivers Oner and Doran, but they're pretty tanky. Oner's burning down, the bailout not even required here to keep him alive as Vikla trying to get out, and he kills Smash and survives! Vikla, how the heck did that happen? As now T1 are all limping away from this battle. In fact, the health bars everywhere are so low, and Clear isn't going to pick the right turn.
Well, they deny the Otacon.
Yep.
And it ended up being a very messy and broken up fight, but I mentioned I didn't love the misfortune in this draft, but when you have the perfect setup for it, you can do a ton of damage. Just that the targets that they end up getting here are not ideal. He is ultimately interrupted by Keria's ult there, and then Raptor goes down. Diablo's positioning here, though, pretty good. He backs away. Vikla able to kill Smash on the fadeaway escape is pretty massive, and then T1 can't fight this one out with Faker alone. The health bar just too low on Doran and Oner, so they just need to leave, hightail it out of there. It's a, you know, small edge gain from T1 in that fight, you could argue, in terms of the goal, but stopping the Otacon was the real goal, and they were successful at that. Maybe they get more.
Yeah, this is a play towards the top side as Faker is going to be, Clear is going to be discovered by Oner and Faker. He is going to buy some time, though, as Raptor is in the area. So Clear just gonna go north, and that will keep him alive.
That was so scary with Oner and Smash's ults coming up.
The good old face check here as another Q goes wide. Let's see who's gonna win this battle as Doran's running with scissors and Vikla is missing Qs. He does have the Seraphs, and that Q he lands. Still, arrow point blank is gonna be able to do it, as it was in fact a rocket from Faker that locks it down. Gotta work out which projectile is killing the Rise here, as now Raptor finding yet another angle, but there is the Arctic Assault to stop the lawnmower from running over Bristle.
Okay, this is a wild and crazy game suddenly.
Oh god.
The Smash does take a big hit from Empowered Shock Blast, but there's no Baron up, there's no Dragon just yet. Not a big enough edge either way here, as I feel like Vikla at least got what he was looking for there. It took a little bit longer than maybe it necessarily should have. 2 levels up here on this Gwen when he also had the jump on him in the brush. But Gwen with a fully stacked Q is going to be loving fighting this if she's in an even game state. Vikla missing a few times makes it kind of interesting here, and also means that Vikla ultimately does end up getting taken down because it took a little bit too long. They commit the TP here, and that's the end of that. So no TP for clear. Vikla has his, will have his ultimate as well, but both of these objectives come up at the same time, and T1 still didn't get any prio back. They still didn't get any deep vision.
Oh, handshake going to come through, but that is the 2-man impale this time. The bullet time is going to work as Smash was shooting him, but it doesn't actually do anything. Oner goes down, Faker's dead as well, and B&K, they can take both of the objectives if they'd like.
This time they get the value target on the impale. This time the combo hits Faker, and he is obliterated right as the dragon is up. So B&K can turn this into dragon. Southside Otacon here next to the dragon is going to be taken. T1 can't cross with Baron. They lost 2 members, and it's not even spawned. And now B&K
Otacon as well.
Yeah. And now B&K could just turn this into even more control. When you have this much control over the map, Skarner can just set up an MF combo at will. And if you're T1, you kind of have to slowly force your way into vision, otherwise they're going to get the dragon.
야, 여기 있어. 나
Raptors calling Corky because he got the prio target this time. The bailout is not going to work because no one is anywhere near dying here for B&K.
Yeah, beautifully done. Opportunistic, sees his target and takes his target immediately. And B&K, like, the worst part about this for T1 is the fact that it was also ruinous, right? So all of the flowers going over to B&K on the back end.
I mean, look at the levels here. 2 levels up for Diablo, 2 levels up for Vikla, 2 levels up for Raptor.
It's only Doran that's even, which is mind-blowing, to be honest.
He's spent a ton of time alone in a side for this whole game, so you got a lot of XP, I guess, to help catch up.
Certainly needs it as well, as now Clear and Kellen waiting off to the side. Keria able to shield himself up as the Shock Blast rains in. Still vision on the Baron here for T1, so they're not losing that one anytime soon, but...
You can see the visualization of the XP lead here for B&K, and now you can see the lack of vision here for T1. They got that 1 ward in there, but they have to constantly hover around this Baron because it could be threatened at any point, especially when players like Vikla are missing. It will show here now on the bottom lane, but they know he's got TP. So
that's a -1.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a roughie.
So maybe the game is more even than we thought.
I guess slightly, about a cannon's worth.
Yep, 3,000 gold though is nothing to scoff at. Make that 4. As Raptor gonna have to deal with this Baron, does so quite well because he's got a Thornmail and a Heartsteel, and he is got a fair bit of health.
If there's one thing T1 does incredibly well from behind is outplay team fights around major objectives.
Yeah, and then just win, like they did in Game 1.
Yeah, so I can feel B&K, you know, in comms probably saying, hey, play it slow. Let's not repeat Game 1. Let's not repeat so many of our big near wins we've had here in 2025. Let's keep playing around vision. Let's keep playing around this Rise in the side lane. He's level 18. Let's just wait for the best opportunity possible at T1. We're going to force them to come to us. So speaking of...
Yeah, Oner could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's not the one that T1 wants to lose around this Baron.
The one thing that T1 do have that B&K does not is a AD carry that can actually, you know, clean up a team fight and functionally will do consistent damage. Diablo could in the right scenario, but it's really just about his ultimate. So if you can shut that down, if you can stop the combo, maybe Smash can clean up house, because you got Faker on AD carry here as well. He's got his LDR. Oh no!
Raptor comes in. Little Miss Piggy going to be delivered here as Diablo looking for an angle. Hostile takeover doesn't connect onto the Misfortune, and the bailout is going to be there. Bullet time was more in celebration, but I do like the fact that MF does a whole lot of laughing while it's happening.
That's all you need, and that's how you play it slow. It's how you play around vision, and B&K find the enemy jungler. There's no smite fight here.
Nope. Still, Keria moving into a aggressive position. The double up still doing work here as Smash down to 50%. Shock Blast raining in as Doran at full health, but I just don't know whether they're going to be able to help out here. 4 versus 5 is the advantage.
Got the angle here with a flash.
Yep, Doran's in the mist right now. He does have the bailout, and Smash is already so close to dead. Going golden is Doran, surviving for a moment, but Faker going to get knocked into the wall as Raptor is going to push him out of the fight. There's Keria going down. Doran follows and Smash is on the wrong side of the map. The Baron is taken, and BNK, they are not losing 2 games in a row against T1 here today.
Not gonna happen. Kellen takes the kill, but I think it's the least of their worries right now. And BNK now Baroned up here with a massive 7,000 gold lead. It all starts off with Raptor having this really long wraparound angle here. Catches Oner. Keria is not the one who gets hit. Still had the angle there for the Impale, and this hostile takeover isn't enough to peel him out of it. Unfortunately, Bailout also employed. This is just a slow and steady play here from B&K. Kellen doesn't have ult, but still has an incredible angle here, so it's just so hard for Smash to actually layer that damage in and close the gap here. Faker as well, trying over the wall. The Realm Warp here is pretty short, but it's pretty clean as well. Faker just has to exit, and that's the fight.
Kind of insane as well, the fact that Diablo and Vikla just like going together point blank into the enemy team, but they were so far ahead that it didn't even matter. To the Sky's going to get interrupted here, but I don't think Clear is too worried about it. Vikla now versus 3, but he's just running away. Phase Rush pretty powerful, and B&K will be able to take this inhibitor, but they're looking for even more. Doran doesn't have the needlework anymore, no more arrow, but there is Glacial Prison as well as the hostile takeover.
Yeah, they can just move their attention up here to the top side. Clear's setting up the wave here. They can threaten double inhibitor. Everyone being alive on T1 means there's not an end angle here unless T1 make a mistake. Kellen on a nice angle.
Yeah, every button is up here for B&K though as far as these ultimates. That's Magnet Storm, Impale, Bullet Time. This is so dangerous for T1. Still, they have to try something. Glacial Prison going to be picked up by Diablo, and Smash almost dies from 2 ticks of the Bullet Time.
And Vikla is escorting this mid wave in, so I mean, there's super minions with Baron buff coming into the T1 base. Second inhibitor is going to go down. They can just siege this if they want to. There's a ping going into the bottom lane though. Vikla is looking for the 3rd inhibitor now with the last minute of this Baron buff, and if T1 make a mistake, they just lose the game. Such a critical defense they need to have here.
Yep, 10,000 gold is the lead. Smash taken to half health. These shock blasts are so scary. As Diablo moves over, he's going to get to work on the last remaining inhibitor, and T1, nothing they can do to answer it. They're being pulled all around the rift. It's kind of beautifully played by B&K as far as their siege on the T1 base as the handshake comes in. Hostile takeover connects onto only the Skarner as Vikla going to be taken down. And now B&K, with the entire base in shambles of T1, are just going to back away.
Yeah, Dragon is up. It'll be their 3rd Ocean, empowered by Otacon as well. It's a 4,000 gold Baron power play, Red Bull Baron power play to be exact. And it's going to be B&K taking this Dragon on the exit with the super minions that T1 are occupied with here. But T1 still have a chance. It's a small chance. It's a snowball's chance in hell, but they still are alive here as Keria's ult does kind of dissuade here. Vikla goes in a little bit deep. I think they could have waited for the minions to crash on that 3rd inhibitor before they decided to really push the envelope there, as the 3rd inhibitor actually still alive.
Yeah,
so
Doran was able to save it. So I told a bit of a lie there, but with 1 inhibitor left, I think it's still, like, shambles is still correct.
Shambles is still accurate.
Yeah,
It just could have been a little bit more shambled if B&K, like, they played it so respectfully until they didn't. But they're still in a great position in this game. Don't get us wrong, but T1 is still alive. They are still breathing in this game, and so there's a chance for that crazy, hopeful team fight to happen. We've been watching this game at B&K's control for a really long time, and T1 haven't quite found it just yet because this comp, as we've mentioned so many times, is so oppressive with no vision for T1, but 1 mistake, 1 error from Vikla, 1 choke, and maybe T1 have a chance, but
see what they can do. All 5 grouped up here on T1 as Diablo with the Make It Rain actually able to hold them at bay quite nicely, and he is not afraid of anything. Maybe the arrow is going to sail by, does absolutely nothing here. The Shock Blast does not do absolutely nothing. In fact, it just hits both carries.
The 2nd time's the charm here on this inhibitor. Now they're all gone.
Yeah. And Clear still has his shield. Glacial Prison is just going to split the difference in B&K. And now Keria, it's his turn to throw out the handshake. Faker half health from a few ticks of the Bullet Time. And they are just trying to poke them out underneath this turret. The double up, my God, he's hitting so many of those Qs. The hostile takeover does nothing. Doran trying to take down Raptor, but the Magnet Storm is so good. And the layering of the Impale. Doran goes golden, but this time, the Zhonya's is doing absolutely nothing. The Nexus turrets are going to be taken down. The Nexus exposed, and once again, no team in the LCK for 2025 so far will take